everyone, welcome. My name's Charlie, and a little known fact about me, I was born to crack the case. Like, as in, like, a mystery. Like, you get it. I was raised on Sherlock Holmes, the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, and a lot of Salami, so I felt it was my duty to fully 100% duck detective the secret Salami, solve the case, and throw bread to the fine beak of Lady Justice. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. You're like a true detective, or the smoother experience for fledgling No. You see my hat? I am a true detective.
Life wasn't easy.
Oh my gosh. As a down on my luck, divorce duck detective, I could only rely on my one true skill. Deductions, because it's a duck. Find clue words by questioning persons and inspecting your surroundings. Rummaging around my sad little office/bedroom was quite insightful. I learned quite a few things about myself. I was professionally quite unsuccessful. I used to be married to Anna, and I had an unhealthy dependence on bread.
Oh, sweet spongy loaf.
Okay, the voice actor went too hammy with this.
I have everything I need to solve this now.
The duck detective spent last money on bread for me. I got it.
The toast helps me to forget.
Oh, God. It's Anna.
Anna! I'm a different duck now. I haven't had a slice of bread in weeks. You have to believe me!
Yeah, turns out it was just a new client. That was a low. That was a real low for me as a duck. I spent most of my remaining cash on bus fare to the scene of my next job. My last job, if I couldn't crack the case. I arrived at the Bear Bus office, which did not leave the best impression, what with all the garbage and angry customers.
Bear bus? Huh, more like scam bus!
Oh, got him. I entered the lobby, knocked over some garbage, knocked over some more garbage, and then tried to bust my way into the staff area. I'm starting to see why I was fired from my previous job. I'm an absolute menace. The giraffe receptionist wasn't too keen on letting me in, but I am a detective after all, so using my magnifying glass, I began to gather some clues. Okay, name tag, last name Windheimer. Oh, a tear! You also got divorced. Boy band, K-pop fan. Honestly, not much to go off of, so I waddled over to the Bear Bus suggestion box and did a little more snooping. Someone named Sophie was celebrating their birthday, another person in the office was stealing mugs, and Laura was also a name. From these clues, I concluded that the giraffe was Sophie Windheimer. And a closer look at the giraffe calendar only confirmed that it was in fact her birthday. Okay, Sophie is feeling sad because nobody remembered her birthday. Happy birthday!
I'm just here to wish you a happy birthday.
How did you know?
And with one simple birthday wish, I'd managed to rizz my way into the
The
office.
stained carpets and peeling wallpaper exuded a stench of stale coffee and abandoned dreams.
Oh, wow.
This is the last straw! Fredderson needs to be fired!
I still didn't know what case I'd been hired to solve, but this angry bear alluded to a lunch theft as grounds to fire Frederson, who was clearly not well liked around here. Before investigating this heinous crime, I needed to take stock of all potential suspects and find the person who hired me. Luckily, I'd taken notes during our initial consultation, which, oh wow, very helpful. I first interviewed this angry cat working customer service, who, by the looks of their bloodshot eyes and energy drink consumption, was a little furball of stress. They turned out to be good friends with Sophie at reception, but weren't receptive to any of my questions.
I have a million more emails to answer, and there are 50 people in the phone queue, and Manfred still doesn't want to give me a raise! Just leave me at peace!
Okay, so the boss is Manfred. Next to the cat's desk was another call desk, empty with the PC logged out. But with my keen observational skills, I deduced that whoever this desk belonged to was quite invested in their appearance, their last name was Whitlock, and their password was a thing that existed. Password hint, me in sexy aliens? What? I did not have enough information to guess the password, so I continued snooping around the office, finding the laziest employee of the month certificate I've ever seen. Insert photo here. This doesn't look very inspired. It did teach me, however, that the employee of the month was someone named Rufus Sedaris. In a disorganized, unproductive office such as this one, I can only imagine how great of an employee Rufus is. I next entered what appeared to be the boss's office and examined the angry bear from earlier. From his tie clip, I could tell he was the branch manager, and by the stain on his jacket, sloppy. Oh, baby food. Family man. That's exactly the deduction that I came to as well. Although this bear wasn't the one who hired me for the job, I still looked around his desk and found some curious things. His last name was Ernst, and there was also an application for a promotion to senior customer service agent signed by L. Enks. But most importantly, on the back wall of his office hung a huge fancy painting of his wife and twins, and it wasn't just any painting. Secret compartment. Something's behind this painting. Based on my observations, I concluded that this boss bear was named Manfred Ernst, and Mr. Ernst was definitely hiding something. But I would need to wait until the room was empty before I could check behind the painting. What is this?
It's a list of all the bus drivers. The most busy driver out of all four seems to be Petrovich.
Petrovich, okay. This is bag of salami. This duffel bag next to the crocodile's desk was filled with expensive, high-quality salamis paid in West currency. No idea how this relates to the lunch thefts, but I kept it in mind as I examined this map of the bus routes. Naturally, I investigated the crocodile next, who, by the looks of him, seemed like a pretty unassuming guy. Little shoes. Loser.
I plan all the bus routes and make sure the buses are on time.
Doesn't sound like you do a good job. Did you hire me?
I'm so happy you're here.
It was
I
you.
have a copy of your book. Can you sign it?
Sure. Anything for the fans.
Woo! This will become a core memory.
So I think that must be Freddie Fredersen. Oh, Laura Engst. I next asked Laura what she thought of Freddie, and
Freddy? What an incompetent waste of office space!
Laura held her boss in much higher regard, and Manfred's impression of Laura was just as positive, although I did wonder if she was doing the work of 5 employees, why hasn't she gotten a promotion? But with a good lay of the land, I filled out my list of potential suspects. Sophie, the receptionist giraffe, Manfred, the bear boss, Laura, the customer service agent, and Freddie, the useless crocodile who runs bus operations.
Now that I had worked out these names, I was ready to check out the crime scene.
Let's go!
Let's see where that lunch got stolen from.
With access to the kitchen where the comforting waft of cheap white toast entered my nostrils, I stumbled across 2 new employees. A sheep named Margaret baking an entire cake on the clock, and a penguin eating the icing of said cake also during work hours. Peeking into the fridge, I found Margaret's lunch, but more importantly, thanks for the food, Salami Bandit. Would they leave a note? So incriminating. Hot on the trail of the lunch thief, I looked into Margaret, taking note of her tidy appearance, motherly qualities, and the tan line on her ring finger. But Margaret's most important quality turned out to be her blabbermouth. Like, I asked her what she thought of Sophie, and totally unprompted, she revealed that Sophie had just broken up with her ex.
You need to keep this a secret, though.
So gossipy, Margaret. I masterfully deduced that Margaret was the other customer service agent, the one who'd left her desk unattended, leaving Laura to manage the hotline all on her own. With all this information gleaned from Margaret, I turned my attention to the cranky penguin in the corner, who turned out to be the janitor and a big sci-fi buff. He seemed to respect Manfred, but in line with everyone else, thought Freddie was a moron. He doesn't seem very well liked in the office, I will say. The penguin also seemed to think that due to his weirdness, Freddie was the one who called me, which made sense given his clear obsession. The life of fame is just so hard. With everything examined in the kitchen, I moved outside where the buses were parked and noticed a bag that looked kind of familiar. That looks like the salami bag.
It's full of dirty gym clothes.
The swapperoonie. This buffalo standing nearby was my next target, and I gotta say, this was some of my best work yet. Was this big nostrils, good smell? Oh, hands in pocket. Doesn't have any. Oh, bad manners. Yep. Boris. That's the name of my Tamagotchi. Yeah, it died though. All right. Do you know anything about Sophie? Oh.
Man, I wish she'd let me talk to her.
Wait, is this the ex? Boris was definitely Sophie's ex-boyfriend, but I was hesitant to accuse him of stealing lunches since he seemed to stay clear of the office and, by the looks of it, just drove the buses. But Boris's supposed innocence was wiped away when I asked him about the duffel bag of gym clothes.
Oh, it's really strange. Things in it disappeared and others appeared. Very suspicious.
Very suspicious indeed, Boris. And having met all of the employees at Bearbus, it was time to make some more deductions. The first one being to identify my client. And I mean, given how big of a fan of me he was, I was like 3,000% sure it was Freddie. Freddie hired the duck detective because his lunch was stolen by a coworker known as the Salami Bandit. But that was wrong. Okay, let's go inside and see if we can get any more clues. I brought the gross duffel bag to Freddie to ask if it belonged to him, but he seemed sure the one next to his desk was his.
The one with All the salami?
Yeah,
Why do you need so much salami?
that's not mine. It was just there. A really nice surprise.
Freddy, what? Okay, what about Boris? Do you get along with him?
He's a chill guy. I take the bus sometimes to go to bouldering conventions, and then we get to chat.
Okay, Freddy. Okay. Freddy was being weird, but I couldn't tell if it was like a normal Freddy weird or a more serious criminal weird. What are we missing here? Oh, whoa! How did I not know I could do that the whole time? I would have been screaming all the way through this. Am I distracting you at all? I had a hunch that there was more to discover in the kitchen, so I returned to the scene of the crime. Ducks share 95% of their genetic makeup with bananas? Did you see it? Is this a duck? Oh no. After paying my respects to our fallen brother, I took another peek in the fridge, and this was all I needed to conclude who my client was. Laura hired them because their lunch was stolen by the Salami Bandit.
You're my client? Why didn't you tell me?
You should have told me. You're the duck detective.
I said it was obvious when I was quacking right next to you. The game was afoot. Obviously, Margaret was planning a surprise birthday party for Sophie with the cake and all, but there were more troubling things happening in that kitchen and in this office. Oh, Freddy is being framed by the Salami Bandit. When Freddy got off the bus for work, he picked up the wrong bag. The one that belonged to
The
a
Salami Bandit.
Jinx. Accidentally picking up the salami was great for Freddy, but it also made him a liability. So the Salami Bandit used this as leverage and framed Freddy for the crime. And I mean, when it came to people that wanted to get rid of Freddy, there was one name in particular that came to mind. Is the Salami Bandit Laura?
Everyone, it's time for you know what?
But before I could investigate this new lead, Margaret called all the employees in for Sophie's surprise birthday party. I was also there for some reason.
Surprise!
Sophie seemed excited and started opening her presents, but nothing derails a party like an unexpected box of salami.
Salami?
Is it a
What a
threat?
terrible present.
No, you silly idiot! The real present got stolen and switched for salami!
It's the Salami Bandit!
I saw an awful lot of high-grade salami in Fredrickson's bag.
And now there's no question who the perpetrator is. I've been telling you all along, we can't trust Frederson.
Laura, you're being
By the
sus.
end of the day, he'll be fired. Mark my words.
But a little bit too sus, if you know what I mean. See, are you okay, Sophie?
It'll be okay. You have the duck detective here to figure everything out.
I was beginning to see why I was a duck divorcee, because right after those words of comfort, I grilled Sophie about her ex-boyfriend. Not the most thoughtful line of conversation ever, but Sophie didn't have anything suspicious or incriminating to say about Boris, Laura, or Margaret, aside from their various flaws and foibles. So I moved on with my investigation, looking through the presents she'd received. A limited edition plushie from Laura, a tacky heart-shaped necklace from Boris, and a book from Rufus. Sexy aliens want my number. What? Captain Brightbeak stared deep into the alien's eyes. Oh god, what's happening? The lead alien stepped forward. Captain Brightbeak could tell it was the lead alien because it was the one which stepped forward. This is real literature. Is this Hemingway? Hey, you look cute. A mechanical voice whispered into his ear. Can I get your number? Written by Sefer Sarides, this novel, if you can even call it that, was now something inside my brain that I could unfortunately not remove.
Oh God.
Let's look at the note. There's a piece of salami on it. Kind of gross. Boing. Oh, buongiorno. Okay. In my defense, I couldn't see the whole word all at once. Buongiorno, everyone. Quite unbelievable. I entered the office really easily. Lol. Sayonara, edgelord. While everyone stood around the kitchen watching Sophie cry, I returned to the office to snoop around, checking out Laura's PC first. They're sexy now. Oh my gosh. Everybody with the sexy aliens. OMG lol. Is he serious? Wait, what a dumb pen name. It's just his name backwards. Next up was Margaret's PC, which had a password I hadn't yet guessed. Me and sexy, shiny armored alien. Purple-eyed alien.
I cracked it.
Ho ho ho! What if Margaret is the mastermind behind this all? Given what I discovered, though, this didn't seem to be the case. West VPN, secret cake recipes, never gonna give you... Okay, I just got rickrolled. But as I continued to snoop, I found some lovey-dovey text with someone with an alien profile picture followed by an urgent message. Delete everything. Illegal activity? Is Margaret dating the Salami Bandit? Margaret, I thought she was so sweet. I was now highly suspicious of Margaret, and the obvious next step was to identify her accomplice. Well, let's go see. What is the author name? Backwards. It's Rufus. It's Rufus. I remember it's Sefer. The last thing I wanted to do was read that book again, but with my job at stake, I braved through it, and sure enough, Sefer. Oh, Rufus, you're in big doo-doo. And for all I knew, Manfred was in on it too, because when I talked to him, he was sure all the evidence pointed toward Freddy and seemed pretty set on firing the guy. I mean, for real? Freddy thought the duffel bag full of salami was, and I quote, a salami surprise. You could argue that he's playing dumb, but in my professional opinion, he's too dumb to play dumb. And honestly, the strangest thing about the birthday party incident was that nothing was stolen, meaning the salami present was intentional. Well, that and the fact that Rufus decided to give Sophie a copy of his book about sexy aliens for her birthday, that was also very strange behavior, to be frank. Even if you're not the culprit, like, what the heck is going on there? I realized I hadn't followed up with Boris yet following the salami scandal, so I headed outside to question him. He had nothing useful to say, but I did find an info board that was quite informative. Customs procedures for passengers entering the west border. Oh, okay. Import. Prohibited goods. Salami is on here. 10 trombones. Meat. Potatoes. Books not in the interests of the eastern states. Definitely sexy alien falls under that. Salamis are being illegally imported from Brazil. No. Escargot. No. Hollandaise. No. Salsiccia. First
That
try.
explains all the high-grade salami.
The pieces were all starting to come together. It was seemingly illegal to import Western goods to the east, so there was good money to be made in this illicit trade. And whoever the salami bandit was using the bear bus line to smuggle in their illegal sausages.
Also, for some reason, Sophie received a letter from the salami bandit that had a hidden, threatening
Be
message.
quiet or else. Oh, that's not good. Is this Boris? Is this why they broke up? Boris, you wouldn't. Underneath this insignificant case of lunch theft was an entire criminal plot, and I had to get to the bottom of it. So I assembled everyone in the kitchen. Well, everyone except Sophie.
I will start then regardless. It's through my observations that I uncovered
Boris.
conspiracy.
Oh, later.
This is ridiculous! Why are we still listening to a random duck that waddled into this office? I'm leaving.
It's okay. Just tell us what you know.
Salami is being smuggled from Salsiccia using your very own buses.
Boris.
What's going on?
What's going
Okay,
on?
This is going too
Interesting.
far. I really have more important things to do.
And deal with illegal smuggling in your business? As Manfred left, so did everyone else. Everyone except one. Just me and Freddy now.
I'm still here, Mr. Duck Detective.
Awesome. The grand reveal hadn't gone as well as I'd hoped, I'll admit, but I couldn't give up yet. Not when there was still a case to solve. I was most suspicious about Boris, but my uncertainty about him began to lessen when I found him in the lobby, genuinely concerned about Sophie. Apparently, she'd left a note on the desk which read, "That's it, I quit." Whoa! You'll never see me again. Is this Sophie's handwriting, or it kind of seems like the Salami Bandit's handwriting? I don't... Clearly in a rush, Sophie had left her phone as well, and the last dialed number was 030-517-77. Oh, that's to report illegal activity. Either Sophie was trying to get some crucial info out, or she was trying to cover something up. But regardless, she'd been running with the wrong crowd. I'll tell them everything. Don't. You blocked this number. Click here to unblock. Oh gosh, Sophie. Is Sophie good? Is Sophie dead? I'm getting actually concerned, and the boss isn't here anymore, unless he's outside. Sure enough, I found Manfred in the parking lot, and when I showed him Sophie's resignation letter, he didn't seem the least bit surprised. I quickly surveyed the parking lot and noticed that the bus luggage compartment had been closed since I grabbed the bag of gym clothes earlier. But more importantly, Manfred was out of his office for the first time, meaning I could finally look to see what was behind the hinged painting. And just as I suspected, it was a safe. Based on this sticky note, I guessed that the correct sequence of numbers corresponded to the number of employees in each department. 2 in customer service, 1 in the operating office, and 4 bus drivers.
I always wanted to open a ridiculously big safe.
And in the safe, I found some very useful things. The keys to the server room, which I still hadn't investigated, and 2 letters with different handwriting. One from Manfred to his wife. That looks like the Salami Bandit's handwriting and pen color. And another letter from an unknown sender with a list of demands, including a TV in his room and employee of the month. All these things and nothing will happen to you. Blackmail? I wasn't sure what to make of this blackmail letter, but with the keys now in hand, I headed straight to the server room where I found a couple server racks, some nondescript boxes, and an entire bedroom in the back. After taking a good hard look in the mirror and reflecting on all my wonderful qualities, I investigated this strange living area. The employee living in the server room was selling Bear Bus vouchers online, and surprise, surprise, that employee was Rufus.
What are you doing in there?
Nothing.
Snooping around, are we?
No.
That room is strictly off limits.
Now let's solve this receptionist question detection, shall we? Deduction. Based on the weird handwriting in Sophie's letter, her abrupt and unexpected exit, and the fact that her ex-boyfriend said something felt off, I was starting to think Sophie's resignation wasn't entirely voluntary. And with these pieces together at last, the truth was worse than I imagined. Sophie got kidnapped because she wanted to snitch. No. Is she under the bus? I noticed it was closed. Don't you say she's in the bus. Right there, and Manfred's standing right here, keeping watch. I'll get you out of there, Sophie. Fear not. But before freeing Sophie, I needed to get to the bottom of this situation. So as that poor giraffe remained trapped in the bus, I ran through my little book of deductions. I am a very good detective. Somebody kidnapped Sophie to make her stay quiet about the salami bandit illegally importing salamis. Manfred, calling it. Despite my strong belief in this theory, it wasn't quite right, so I began to approach it in an entirely new way. Maybe this is a whole different angle. Let me think. I went through a lot of hypothetical situations in my head. Manfred blackmailed Sophie, Manfred blackmailed Rufus, Boris was the one providing the buses to the salami bandit, or even that Margaret could have been the one providing bus vouchers. I went through all these options until I came to a revelation. Rufus blackmailed Manfred to make him stay quiet about Rufus illegally selling vouchers. That explained the eBay listings and Rufus's weird little server room hideout, but it still didn't account for what Manfred was hiding or what incriminating activities he could be blackmailed for. With this in mind, I found it was just as I'd feared. Sophie had been freaking kidnapped and stashed away in one of Bear Bus's very own vehicles. I knew it! I knew that the compartment was open before. It's the hat. I know who it is. Manfred is the salami bandit because Manfred's and his handwriting are identical. Ooh.
Manfred is the salami bandit.
Someone is the salami bandit's accomplice because the salami bandit needed someone who could easily carry out the importing of the salamis. Boris. I knew it! And continuing that logic forward, Manfred's other accomplice was Sophie. Boris had a crush on Sophie, so Manfred used her to manipulate Boris into smuggling the cured meats.
It was time that I confront the culprits. But first, I had to free Sophie.
That would be nice. We headed straight outside to free Sophie, and soon after, everyone else came running outside as well.
It's kind of a long story.
And guess who deduced said long story? The one and only Duck Detective.
Read the room.
And finally we'd arrived at the big reveal, my chance to tell everyone how it all went down. To set the scene, the Brezel Bear Bus branch was struggling. Rufus and Margaret stealing vouchers and selling them online at discounted prices probably didn't help. But Manfred, worried about his financial stability, pursued a path of crime to secure his family's future. But of course, he couldn't do it alone. With the help of Boris the bus driver, bus routes could be diverted through Salsiccia, where high-quality salamis could be picked up and then smuggled through the border. And I mean, these detours explain the Bear Bus delays and all the angry customers Laura had to deal with. Now, where does Sophie play into all this, you may ask? Well, here's the thing. Boris never knew he was smuggling salami illegally for Manfred's profit. He thought he was picking up some get-better-soon salami for Sophie's sick relative, and the plan was going off without a hitch. Until I showed up. And just the presence of such a handsome, intimidating, highly perceptive, experienced, and very mentally healthy detective such as myself was enough to throw the whole operation into a panic. Sophie's single tear? That had nothing to do with everyone forgetting her birthday. She was quaking because she knew I'd learned the truth. When I confronted everyone in the kitchen about this cured meat conspiracy and Sophie wasn't there, she was trying to confess to the police. And if you remember, Manfred was one of the first to step out of the room in that moment. Where did he go? To the reception to keep Sophie from ratting him out. He tied her up and threw her in the very bus compartment that was used to smuggle the salami.
And this is why Manfred stole Laura's lunch.
What?
Huh? At first, I had no idea how this petty lunch theft and the literal smuggling of illegal goods was connected, but thinking it through, this made a lot of sense. Hapless little Freddy was getting paid way more than Laura, and for that reason, she wanted him fired.
Should Manfred get arrested?
Yes.
Should Sophie get arrested?
This doesn't feel like my job. This feels like this police's job. I mean, yeah?
Should Boris get arrested?
I mean, yeah, he still did it, yeah?
I will report to the state police Manfred, Sophie, Boris.
But these weren't the only three who'd done something wrong. Margaret had also been providing Rufus with bus vouchers to sell online.
Rufus said we're only doing that until his book takes off. And then I'll play the lead alien in the movie adaptation.
And like, was Laura even innocent? Could it be true that maybe they knew Manfred was trying to frame Freddy and hired a private investigator to seal the deal? I have no clue. But out of the 7 employees in this office, only one person was truly faultless.
Wow, you really did quack the case, Mr. Duck Detective. You're just as cool as I imagined.
Thanks,
Now,
Freddy.
Ferguson.
And with that, our job was done.
It is my duty to throw bread to the fine beak of Lady Justice. I completely forgot to collect my payment from Laura. How am I going to pay for the bus? Guess I'm walking home.
Oh no. Freddy!
Need a ride?
Yeah, fine.
Freddy thoroughly enjoyed our car ride home. I did not. So we had cracked the case, but we hadn't yet completed the game. I'd managed to check off every single achievement except one, and a very important one at that. I re-entered the Bear Bus office and looked around until I saw it. The final waste bin. Boom! Rage Uncaged, kick over all the bins at Bear Bus office. And just like that, we had fully completed 100% of Duck Detective: The Secret Salami. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did, consider subscribing to the channel. It really means a lot. And with that, I will see you guys next time. Bye!